Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of our Google Ads talk show. As usual, I've got Josh with me. How's it, bud?
How's it? Thanks for having me.
Lekker. Let's dive straight in. In this episode, we want to talk about Google Shopping ads versus search ads. What is the difference? Number one, if you don't know. Number two, what's got the most benefit for your business? And should you use both? Should you pick one? Which one should you pick? If those are questions that you're asking yourself, and if you're an e-commerce business owner, then this episode's going to be for you. So, Josh, let's maybe start with the biggest difference between the two, and how can people leverage them strategically in order to increase their revenue.
Yes. I mean, main difference between shopping and search is that with search, there's a lot more information that you can get across because you've got so many more characters in terms of the headlines and the descriptions. Whereas with shopping, there's not a lot that you can get across when you are running those kind of ads. There are pros and cons to each. Obviously, with shopping, you can show the image of the product, you can show the price, as well as the title of the product. So it's very easy for the user to compare prices.
So people have more information about the product going into the actual website. So after the click, they already have a decent amount of information about the product in terms of how it looks, the price, how it compares to others most likely, in terms of those two things.
Yes.
And therefore, one can maybe argue that the type of traffic that comes through shopping might be a bit of a higher quality of sorts. Is that safe to assume or not really?
I'd say in most cases it is, because if there is, like, let's say the person is searching for some type of jewelry, if they do see the image of what they're looking for, let's say someone's looking for a particular kind of ring, and they see the image of it, they are going to click on it. Again, like, the nice thing with shopping is that, same with search, is that you don't actually pay for the impression, you pay for the click. But it's with search, as I said, you can get a lot more across. In terms of, like, maybe technical things, like if you're selling a laptop or a cell phone and there's certain aspects of someone wanting to know what's the storage, what's the RAM, those type of things that you might not necessarily be able to get across on shopping. You can, however, get that information across if the user actually scrolls across to where it says shopping in Google. Then they can actually go into more detail, and that's when the product description will pull through and they can read through each one.
Yeah, so if you're searching and you start to see the ads, and you, as opposed to all because Google's got those filters at the top.
Yes.
It's basically asking you, what are you looking for? Are you looking for images? Are you looking for videos? Are you looking for shopping?
Maps, if you're looking for a store.
100%.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that when you click the actual shopping option as a filtering process, then there is a little bit of extra additional information that comes across.
Yes, they can be.
Cool.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say is one of the pros is that you can get more information across because of the additional options of text and the characters. So if you were selling a product that maybe had an additional feature that other competitors don't have, so if there was some form of unique selling point, you can get that across on the search side of things, which might entice the click or ensure that you increase your potential conversion rate because you've been able to articulate what makes the product different while other people didn't do that. Is that a safe assumption?
Definitely, yes. And that's why you can test, by using different headlines and descriptions. There might be certain things that appeal to other people, than most. So to someone, if they're searching for a specific product, and let's say that generally across the board there's usually a 1-year warranty on this kind of product, but the product that they're selling has got a 2-year warranty. That's something that you would want to get across in the form of a search ad that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do so in shopping.
What I'm hearing you say is that you need to understand your customers really well.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that's the first thing people neglect, is that they have this amazing product that they think people will love, and they think that because there are other competitors out there doing well in the industry, so they will be like, we need to sell this, and then they bring the same product in and they put their markup on it, and then they're looking for distribution channels like Google and Facebook to try and get the sales, but what their marketing strategy actually lacks is truly understanding how to convey the message to the consumer on the other side so that they can actually make the best decision for them when it comes to buying the product. And this is, I hope I'm not digressing too much, but the point I'm trying to make is that any successful marketing strategy, whether it's Google ads or Facebook ads or anything else, starts with, or can be amplified. Essentially it starts with, but it will most definitely be amplified if you truly understand what customers are looking for. Because if you're truly in a position to comprehend what pain points they have and what you can do differently to solve those pain points compared to competitors, then you can articulate that with a search ad in some way, shape, or form.
Correct, yes.
Which can then improve the quality of the traffic that you're generating and potentially even improve your conversion rate in itself.
Yes. I think in the case where a search ad will perform better than your shopping ad is if you've actually not set up things correctly or the right way in the back end. An example of that would be
for the shopping
campaigns, yes, specifically. And that would be if your image that you are using is blurry. Then search is going to perform better. You're not going to get as many clicks on that as you'd hope. If your pricing is not competitive, yes, your product is going to get impressions, but it's not going to get as many clicks as opposed to your competitors. So off the bat, users will be able to see that you are not, or you're way more expensive than other businesses.
I mean, think about it. Like when you hit the Google search option and you're looking for something specific and those images pop up, I mean, how many of them get compared at the same time? Almost like 10 of them, 8, or like between 6 and 10 depending on the size of the screen.
Correct, yes.
And automatically the product that they're looking for, yours might be one of those 6, 8 or more. The first thing people are going to do is compare price, and with the moment your price is more than a competitor's, they're going to go, well, why should I click on that? I'd rather click on the cheapest option. And that is what you're saying, is if you've got a blurry image, again, people are going to be like, well, this is obviously not a serious business, because most people, like, you don't see Take-A-Lot with blurry images.
Exactly.
You don't see a reputable company having or falling short in being able to articulate the product in itself in a visual format. So the moment you see a blurry image, you go, not a reputable company. And it's just psychologically what happens, not consciously. Nobody goes there, well, I don't trust this company.
Yeah.
It just happens within an instant. The subconscious mind just does that automatically by default. Same with the price. Just subconsciously, we're going to click on the cheapest one. And getting down to search ads, people click through, even though you're able to articulate, you can obviously put the price in the text, you can do all of these things. Hopefully you're a bit more strategic and focusing on the unique selling points. But the people who click on that ad, they go into the website with not knowing how the product looks, not knowing what the price is, because most people don't put the price in there, really. So therefore, the website will have to do a bit of heavy lifting in order to convert them into a sale.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's like almost like the website has to articulate all of those missing pieces, because there's a certain amount of puzzle pieces that someone has to put together in order to determine if this is a good purchase or not. And if you look at a search ad, the pieces that you can put together is the unique selling point, obviously the name of the product to make sure it's the right type of thing, etc. But there's a lot of gaps that your website will have to fill on the back end of that in order to ensure that you get the sale.
Yeah, so I mean, if you are going to run search campaigns, that's why it's so important to make sure that the keywords that you are bidding for are relevant, as well as the match types. So just to ensure that when you do appear for something, there are going to be cases where the user clicks on your ad, goes through to the site, and then based on the images, it's not exactly what they're looking for. But I mean, if you can just make sure that the ad copy is relevant, the keywords are relevant, you will improve your chances of producing or causing that to happen in a sale.
I mean, we've worked with hundreds of clients now. I mean, over 300 since 2018, but on the Google side, easily over 100 as well over the last 2 years, if not more. So with that said, between search and Google Shopping, which one, obviously there are nuances around this answer. I completely get that. Some industries might do better, some might do worse. But just comparing the data that we have available, and you don't have to be too specific about it, but which one would have the better ROAS?
Shopping.
Really?
Shopping, yes.
And you think, if you had to summarize why, in your own opinion, why you think that is it because, it's just more of a natural process because you can see the product, you can see the price, and if people click, they already almost have enough information to decide whether this product is worth buying or not, where search, maybe the site has to do a lot more heavy lifting, and not everybody has the strategic psychological components in their website to convince that person to buy that product. I don't know. I might be going in very different directions with this, but I hope I'm making sense. What will be, in your case, a summary of why Google Shopping might be doing better? Just, again, out of interest. There doesn't have to be any data behind it.
Yes, yeah, no, you said it exactly. It's the fact that it is displaying the image and the price compared to search. So, I mean, you'll notice that if you had to compare search and shopping, your click-through rate, for example, on search is going to be way better. On shopping, not so much. But that's because if the user has seen the image, they've seen the price, they go, okay, this is not for me. They're not going to click it. You don't have to waste any money. But the inverse is that, yes, the ROAS and the sales value is going to be better with shopping compared to search.
So you technically only pay per click. Therefore, the user has got enough information in his feed after he's searched in order to determine if he wants to click or not. So there are fewer wasted clicks on Google Shopping than would be on search, because on search you don't have all those gaps filled. And therefore, there's a sense of curiosity more than anything on the other side of that click. And that curiosity, as the word itself means, is like someone is just curious. They're not necessarily super intent driven to convert in that specific moment, because there's still a lot of other things that they need to determine for themselves if this is a good purchase or not.
Correct, yes.
Interesting. Never really thought about it like that, but it makes complete sense. This is what I love doing. I love making sense of stuff. I think that's really what it boils down to. Is everybody thinks that there's a few buttons that you have to click, and if you click these few buttons, the algorithm is going to spit out cash on the other side. It's not really how it works.
No, exactly. But I mean, also, like, a pro to using search compared to shopping is that, again, you can bid on specific keywords, whereas with shopping you can't do that. You do get a search term report, so it does actually give you a list of the keywords, or say the search terms that you have appeared for, and then from there you can actually sift through and go, okay, cool, this is not relevant, let me add this as a negative keyword. So it's almost like you need to train Google on what's correct and what's not.
Interesting. And that's on both shopping or search, or just on search?
Well, with search you also get a search term report. Based on what you're coming up for, and that's going to be dependent on whether you're using broad match, phrase match, and even exact match. Google has changed. I mean, that specifically, it's not as exact as it used to be. They take also like the meaning of the word as an example. So yeah, with shopping, essentially, you do need to train Google. They're not going to get it right from the start. That's why it's in terms of what I would want to see looking at a shopping campaign, you want to see a couple of hundred negative keywords that have been added to that campaign.
So on a search campaign, you've got a bit more control over who can see the ads, because you specifically identify keywords you want to show up for.
Yes.
And then you've got your broad match, phrase match, and exact match. Exact match obviously allowing you to get very specific. Phrase match kind of like touching on both ends, and broad match can be the wild west of it.
Correct, yes.
And then on the shopping side, what you're saying is you don't specify the keywords, but you can see what people have searched in order for your ad to show up, and then you need to go and remove that. If you see you have a whey protein and you know that you sell whey protein specifically to people who want to lose weight and build muscle, argument's sake, hypothetical situation, but you're showing up for something that, as a meal replacement, but you know that most people who buy whey protein is not necessarily for a meal replacement. And again, I'm going very hypothetical with this analogy. You can say, well, I don't want to sell my whey protein to those people. I want to specifically focus on selling it to the weight loss category people and the muscle building people, because I know that they have a much higher conversion rate. So therefore, I'm going to remove this, or I'm going to add this as a negative keyword, which means if someone searches for meal replacement, I'm not going to have my whey protein show up for it.
Correct, yes.
I mean, there's probably better analogies out there, but that's the only thing I could think of right now. But I hope I'm making sense. You can go, well, my product, I don't want my product to be associated with this. Or I know that people who use this search term is not a good fit for my product for some reason. Therefore, the conversion rate is low. So therefore, I can add it as a negative keyword to not show up for that. But then it's going to continue showing up for everything else potentially. How does that work? Does Google then look at the descriptions on the website and the product pages, and then automatically use the algorithm to make it show up for those specific keywords that they think is applicable?
Yes, yeah. They'll check your product title and the description, and then that's how they come up with how you are appearing on Google based on what the user is searching for.
If you put more product information on the actual product page by lengthening the description or by adding more text, giving better explanations in text written format, because I'm assuming the algorithm works in text more than anything, would that then increase the quality of the kind of traffic that you get because it's showing up for more relevant keywords? So what I'm trying to say is, does any optimization on the product page make a difference in terms of what kind of traffic you're going to be getting in terms of the front end of it?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
I mean, the Google algorithm will still need to learn to an extent, but the better optimized your product title and description is, the better. Yes.
Okay.
If it's too vague or doesn't contain the right keywords, as Google's just going to struggle and take that much longer to learn.
Yeah. So you doing the algorithm a favor, and you're doing your own account a favor by being as specific with the product as possible on the product page, by giving it as clear a description as possible.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, interesting. And then we've still got a little bit of time while we're on the topic. The question was, which one has the higher ROAS? Google Shopping. You did mention that if you want to articulate some additional value, search is still worth it. If you had, as a business owner, $5,000 a month, would you, obviously it's safe to assume you're going to spend it on shopping. Would you spend everything on shopping, or would you include search? Is there enough money in the budget to include both? Do you think it's worth including both? At what point would you do both? At what budget level do you think you should do both? Or the question I'm asking is, if you had a limited budget, where would you put your efforts? And at what point would you include both shopping and search to work together for maximum results?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would probably want to go all in on shopping. But at the same time, you do want to also just have that multi-campaign approach initially. So I think the safest way to approach it, if you've never done it before, is to put the majority of your ad spend into shopping and the minority into search, just to see if there is some value in that. I think that would be the best way, because there are cases where search does help, and also with the scenarios in terms of when the user is searching. I mean, we've seen from the data, they're not just searching, clicking on an ad, and then purchasing from the site. There's multiple touch points. So, they could be making a search and click on your shopping ad, go to the site, browse, come back. They'll probably do some comparisons. Then they'll do another search. Then they'll see your search ad show up top of page. Then they'll maybe click through on that and then eventually go and purchase. So as much as I'd want to go all in on one campaign type, especially if it's a limited budget, working with limited budgets is the most difficult, because you literally need to watch like every rand that you spend to make sure that you're not wasting any of it. So I would probably go majority into shopping and then minority into search. Let that run maybe for 2 to 4 weeks, and then make an assessment and see how you can allocate or shift, or even just start focusing purely on shopping.
Awesome. Well, I don't know if there's any other questions that come to mind. I think that was a very constructive session. Thank you for that. I think there is enough value on the other side for those watching and listening. If you did find it valuable, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe for more content like this, and then we will see you next week. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.